Hey, it's Trueflight here. We're back in the crew. This time we're in our Koenigsegg. We're going to try to make a video here. A fan of the channel, Jacob Peterson, said he wanted to see some video of the Koenigsegg here, so we're going to take her out for a spin. It's a pretty nice car. The full stock version here is pretty basic, lots of carbon fiber. I do really like the dashboard setup on it. And we're going to try to go out here. I've been having some issues with the crew and think we may have gotten some of them ironed out. Right now we have to drive in the high settings instead of ultra because it's been giving me issues. But we're going to try a cruise down the East Coast here to the performance tuner. And go from there to see what happens. Right now I am driving with the keyboard. My controller died and my son has the only other one we have that seems to work right with the game. And I can't afford a wheel right now as much as I want one, so playing with the keyboard. We are in sports settings, which makes this car a little bit more drivable. In full assist it's really stiff and hard to control. It doesn't corner well at all. Take me a bit to get used to the lower graphics too. I've played this game on Ultra since it came out, so it's kind of weird that suddenly I can't without issues. Car's very touchy on the steering though, so take me a bit to get used to sports steering and a keyboard here. Oh, things like that happened. Anyway. This is probably one of my favorite cars just to drive around in full stock in. Oh, I missed the turn. Until the drag racers came along, it was by far the fastest car in the game. Top speed of 273, I think the book says. Oh, I forgot to turn off the waypoints. We'll have to get those later. No nitrous in this either, which sucks. But I've had mine up to, I think I have a screenshot of it doing 278. And that's without drafting either. You can get up higher than that. I've seen a lot of people go out to the salt flats and draft with these things. You can get them up to ridiculous amounts. Oh, I'm going to lose the back end. Definitely hard one to handle with the keyboard here. They did a handling update to this car not too long ago, and it really made a huge difference on it. Oh, man. As far as drivability, like on the track goes. But again, driving sports handling plus keyboard, plus a lot of traffic here. Kind of ridiculous. Once we get away from the city more, it'll thin out a little bit, I hope. Might still have some paint left on the car by then. Hoping once we get on the main highway here that goes down the East Coast, we'll be able to open her up a little bit more and get out of this traffic. I-95, I think it is, goes all the way down the whole East Coast. Thought for sure I was going to clip the entrance to that tunnel. Probably try driving in a couple different views for you just to show you. The in-car camera is very nice, but without a wheel I just cannot drive from that view at all. Have enough trouble driving like this. Looks like we're taking this exit. I have no idea the route it's taking me on here. I just picked a fastest route on the GPS. A little bit of indoors in the rain here. do like the cockpit camera in the rain, especially heavy rain. Windshield wiper's kind of weird on this car, but they do need to up the view distance with your headlights though at night. When you're driving in this view at night, it's like almost impossible because the headlights only light like 20 feet in front of you. And unless you really know the route you're on and what the roads are like, you have no control or view of what's in front of you. I really should bump up my map a little bit because I have no idea where I'm going here. Oh, we need that exit. Where is this thing sending me? One of my complaints about the Crew still is, if you notice the rear view mirror there, while it has a reflection, it's not exactly what's behind you. And the, whoa, can't look at the side mirror while I'm driving. The side mirrors are the same way. Looks like we're turning here. Oh, are we really this far down already? I don't realize how short the actual map is until you're driving on it. I mean, it's huge as far as racing games go, but from actual scale, I've driven this from New York to Florida before, and it took us, I want to say, like 14, 15 hours, and that was going a pretty good clip. Granted, we weren't doing the speeds we're doing in this game, but we were up there. We weren't exactly obeying the speed limit, I'll say that. And yeah, it took us a good 14 hours to make that trip, if not more. Oh, that would have wrecked our car. I think I knocked the hood loose. It looks like it's shaking now. This car is not the greatest on the wet road either. That does not help. It's like driving a jet engine on ice. This thing wants to go like a rocket, but the tires have no grip on the wet road. It's amazing how much different the game looks in a cockpit view, though. Sadly, these cockpit views on most of the cars are really not that detailed. You don't notice it too much when you're playing, but when you're watching, you can really see the details that are kind of meh. When you're playing, you're too busy watching what's going on and the stuff outside the windows that are moving fast, but when you're just sitting back and watching these, you can really notice little things. The detail of the cockpits kind of remind me of older late 90s, early 2000s game, which is kind of sad, but I'm one of those believers that graphics aren't everything now. Game is really about the gameplay, and I love the way this game plays. If I could just get it to be a little more stable, and I'm not on the ground. I can't turn. That sucked. I believe we're in Florida already. I haven't figured out what this middle camera is. I think it's like a cinematic camera. It lets the car move a little more. We have our normal camera that I use. This one's actually really fun on certain cars, especially if they have a big hood. Whoa! Playing with the cameras instead of watching where I'm going. You get a real... Whoa, I turned too early that time. You get a real sense of speed driving from this view. Even when you're not doing that fast, it just seems like you are. So the road's dried out, and I think I'm driving worse. Might actually make it to the performance shop down here this time. This is my like third try at making this video. The game has crashed on me. And one time it took the whole computer with it, and unfortunately that knocks out the recording, so it didn't save anything. But we're almost there. And we made it. Now this car, when it originally came out, well, it was in this original version of the game. The full stock version was the fastest vehicle in the game. And the one drawback is, in order to make it competitive against the other cars, when it came time for actual versus play, excuse me, they had to nerf it down. At the time, our performance spec here was the only other version of it available, and they had to nerf it down, unfortunately, to be on par with the other cars, at least somewhat. I think all of the performance cars in the game max out at a specific speed. Do I own every part? Oh, those are body parts. I think I own every part on this thing. No, I don't. There's a couple left in here. Some of those big carbon fiber wings I'm not a huge fan of. I've already customized this a little. It's hard to tell because I didn't do a lot to it. Figured I'd flip through some of the other ones here. But yeah, so all the performance cars top out at about 230 when they're maxed. I do think I own all of the... Yep, I own all of the stock rims for this. I have these cool fixed wings. This one's not too bad. But I prefer the stock wing because it moves. It's kind of a cool feature of it. Hoods, I'm not sure what they have on here. Couple various carbon layouts. I'm okay with the one of them we have too. Like I said, I already customized these, unfortunately, because I've owned this car for a long time. But still, you get a little boost in your acceleration, your cornering, braking, and at the cost of that massive hit you take to top speed. So do get nitrous now too, though, which is nice. Nothing really changes in the interior view. You get a good view of those mirrors that sort of show you what's behind you, but not exactly. Funny enough, when you go out to this view, the mirrors actually give you a better reflection of what's behind you than they do in the in-car view, which is just strange. Overall, though, it's a pretty cool car. Show off that moving spoiler on there. I think it moves at 150 to create more downforce. Let me see it flip up there. There's no traffic, which is just absolutely weird. And the performance spec, like I said, gets a little bit more nimble. A little nicer with that acceleration, plus you got the nitrous as well now. But you do lose quite a bit of top speed, drops you back down to that 230 that all the other cars have at performance spec when they're maxed out. We can get out there on the highway. Oh, I barely touched that guy and smashed the whole corner up. I don't want to push my luck too much farther. Man, how have I not wrecked this car yet? Don't want to push my luck too much farther with the game having issues here for me. So I'm not going to make this a lot longer than it already is here. Is that the highway I wanted? I don't know my way around very much down here. I usually stick out by Vegas. Yes, looks like that was the highway I wanted. Drive backward down the freeway. And we'll get out here and See what kind of speed we can get out of her. Like I said, it should top out around 230. Might be able to push it a little bit higher than that with the nitrous. Get to a stretch of road. Keep forgetting to turn off the challenges. Yep. Oops. Oh, I just plowed through all those barrels. I was about to say we were sitting right at 230, 231. And I had to go and ruin it. Getting the hang of driving this thing with a keyboard, though. It's not quite as touchy as the Ferrari or my RUF is. At least not up to speed. City driving is a completely different other story. This exit, if I remember. Whoa, that was my bad. Hit the curb. Decided to take the exit a little too late there. One of my favorite tracks actually runs down through this section, and there's a nice long section of straightaway if you stay on this road long enough. It's going to be my next thing to test to see how the game's running now. Since Wild Run was added back in November, I haven't been able to do my favorite race because there's a bug in there. When you get to the end, it gets stuck in an infinite loading screen when trying to load the results from that race. Apparently it doesn't happen to everybody, but from the messages in the forums, it happens to an awful lot of people. And that just, unfortunately, just happens to be one of the events that does it to me every time on now. See, we can push her above 230 with nitrous, but it doesn't stay there. That was a cop. That was a cop too, I think. Watch they oh, they didn't count it as an automatic arrest. I hate it when that happens. What's up, cops? Oh, he hit me. Jerk cop. Any idea how much this car cost, cop?
He's flipped me controls. Anyone see him? Understood, okay. We're trying to get a beat on him now. Stand by.
This is kind of harrowing. Awful lot of traffic to be going through at this speed. Oh, and I slowed down too much for that turn.
Heads up to all units.
What's this guy doing in the middle of the road? It's a cop! That was not fair. He was stopped in the middle of the road.
Roger that. We lost visual on the target control. Roger that. All units, keep on your quads and await further instructions. No time at the target control.
That's probably another cop. We're gonna go around him.
Heads up to all units.
We're not the Koenigsegg you're looking for. This is part of that track I was talking about earlier. Sad that I've driven it so many times in the past that I've memorized it. It's actually a really fun event if you can get it to run properly. I thought about remaking it anyway as a free drive challenge so I can use it in a circuit car because it seems better suited for a circuit car with the long, huge straightaways that are in it. Almost didn't make that. And see, at high speed, this car has amazing handling. It's like glued to the road. At low speed, it gets a little squirrely in the back end. A lot of horsepower, lightweight car does that. ACs who merge into the left lane. I think we're going to end this up here in Dallas. I think this is Dallas we're coming up on. But you can see the differences between the performance and the full stock spec. Performance has that nice boost to acceleration. Once you get above 200 in the full stock, it takes forever for it to accelerate. The performance keeps accelerating at a nice rate, and you have the nitrous boost on top of that. But overall, you're limited to a much lower speed. Ah, I saw that coming. I thought I was dead on the first one. But, yeah, it's an interesting car all around, though. It definitely handles better than it used to. When it first came out, the handling was absolutely atrocious on it. It could not turn to save its life, and to be honest, it was a piece of junk at that point, and this is not the way I wanted to go. I wanted to go down into town. Hopefully this will take me into town. I'm not very familiar with Dallas. Somewhere in this little section here on one of these highways, there's a concrete block sitting in the middle of the road, too. Somebody pointed it out on the forums a while ago. It's been there since the game launched. I don't think there's any way off of this freeway. How did I not hit any of those cars? There might be an off-ramp coming up here. Coming through. Beep beep. Out of the way. Yay, we made it into town. And probably should mention that they did add a Drift Spec version of the car, which I do own. Hey, added a Drift Spec version of the car. I haven't done much with this. Apparently, it does have some parts on it, though. It's an interesting car to learn how to drift with. The low gears are kind of weird for a car like this. Normally you're used to having extremely tall gears. Oh, I cannot drive drift to start with. But, yeah, the short gears are just kind of weird. I cannot get used to drifting at all in this thing. My son actually bought this as his first drift car, and it was entertaining to watch him drive. I mean, once you get the hang of it, I consider it would be a decent car. It has a lot of horsepower and a light car. Good acceleration. I suck at drifting to start with, so don't take my horrible driving of it as any sort of proof of anything. It's definitely a fun car to drive and drift, though. If anything, it might be too fast at times. You really have to brake to get into a good drift on these corners. Oh, and there's traffic. Try once more around the block here. See if we can't get a good one in. So much traffic. wasn't too bad. Now I go see somebody with some real skill who can do this in one continuous drift around the block like that. And put me to shame for my terrible drifting skills. You get the idea, though. I think in the Drift Spec you get options from all of the different body kits. So you have a lot of different options of what parts to put on the car. Like I said, if anything, it might be a little too fast for a drift car with the acceleration and torque. Your tires are either going too fast or pretty much always broke free, which I guess is something you want with drifting, but you can hear it just driving in a straight line. Every gear shift, the tires spin. Which, as I said, is probably something good for drifting, but I'm not a big drifter, so not my favorite aspect. I actually, that was terrible. Instead of actually drifting, I prefer to take the performance specs and go out on the ice up in Salt Lake City. I find that to be really fun and easier to control than the drift itself. Now, some of that could be the choice in car, some of that could be the controller. I think a lot of it's the controller, but again, most of it's me. I really suck at drifting. I won't pretend. Anyway, that's it for a quick look at the Koenigsegg here and its different incarnations. I can never get the camera to spin all the way around. There we go. And I hope you enjoyed it. If there's a car you'd like to see more on, let me know, and I'll do my best to get it out there. If there's any kind of events or anything in game you want to see, let me know, and I can do a video on those. And if there's any other games you want me to check out, let me know about that too. Till then, we'll see you in the next video.